Greetings, believers. This is SUPERZOMGBBQ, and today we have no face cam. No face cam because I thought we'd be better about this, and also because I only have one light bulb. Yes, I really need to go to the shops and buy myself some new ones. But joking aside, we have got the Superstar Shake-Up, because Superstar Shake-Up is going to be talked about quite heavily over the next couple of days, if not weeks, about the effects it's going to have on the SmackDown and Raw brands, and I have got a lot of interesting information to talk about. Biggest ones are who is likely to move, or more likely to move, from brand to brand, and we're going to be talking about the people on SmackDown and on Raw and the biggest trades that could possibly happen because of all the different storylines and everything that's gone on in SmackDown, Raw, and at WrestleMania. Now, it's no secret that at WrestleMania a lot of feuds come to a head. Now, it did seem that after Raw this week, there's some definite new feuds being created. For example, the New Day versus Revival, after they destroyed their New Day Pops ice cream truck thingy, whatever it is, and then decided to break Kofi Kingston's ankle, apparently, or that's what they're trying to go along with. They tried to do that. So the Revival versus the New Day seems to be something that's been set up, and there's also things such as Finn Balor coming back, as well as Kurt Angle being the new GM, that automatically brings interesting elements to this conversation. Also on SmackDown Live, you had the introductions of Shinsuke Nakamura, and of course Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10. Who could forget that debut in the Royal Rumble, because it's one of the most iconic moments of recent WWE history. But let's get into it. If you want to see this kind of upload more often, please leave a like on this video as hard as you can, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel whilst you're there, because that means that you want to see more of the stuff that I'm producing, which is awesome. Anyway, let's get right into it right now, and I'm going to go brand by brand to start off with, and we're going to talk about SmackDown Live first of all, and the trades I think that are going to go on from Raw to SmackDown Live. So let's talk first of all about Enzo and Cass. Enzo and Cass lost the #1 contendership match. There doesn't seem to be anyone they can feud with, and whilst a lot of people have been predicting that the New Day will go across, I'm actually going to go completely against that and say that Enzo and Cass seem the more likely to go across because they've got no one to feud with. They feuded with the club, they feuded with the New Day. They originally, anyway, they feuded with the Dudley Boys originally. They could feud with the Hardy Boys, but the Hardy Boys are faces, so that wouldn't make any sense. Sheamus and Cesaro just beat them for the tag team title opportunity. There's just a lot of things going against them, and I think that this is a great way of introducing Enzo and Cass to the SmackDown audience as this brand new tag team that's going to take the tag team by storm, especially given that SmackDown, despite having an amazing year, does have a weak tag team division and unfortunately a increasingly weak women's division. More on that as we get into it, but Enzo and Cass need to move across. I think that this could easily as well be a great way of introducing Cass as a big tough guy who could go into the SmackDown main event scene, and Enzo moving into the manager role. Knowing what I know about WWE, that's probably what they're going to end up doing with Enzo and Cass. Anyway, Cass did have his couple of runs in the Raw main event scene, but that's the first, and that is Enzo and Cass are going to move from Raw to SmackDown Live. Next one is going to be Seth freaking Rollins. Now, Seth freaking Rollins is going to be moved and used, I believe, in a storyline trade to move him across from Raw to SmackDown Live, and that I think will be towards the end of the Superstar Shake-Up. The reason for that being Seth Rollins will be used as a storyline prop effectively to push the feud between him and Triple H towards a match at either SummerSlam or potentially next year's WrestleMania as a Part 2, or even Survivor Series, whatever it's going to be. But I believe that's going to be a way of bringing Seth Rollins over to SmackDown Live, and unfortunately, as WWE always do, they will treat it as a bad move because he doesn't want to leave Raw to SmackDown Live, the B show, even though it's the A show. What happens after the draft stroke, the Superstar Shake-Up, is something we don't know at this point. But Seth Rollins being on SmackDown would definitely improve the main event scene, seeing as there's a lot of big names being rumoured to be coming the other way to Raw, which we'll talk about very, very soon. The next name I'm going to throw out there is Charlotte. Charlotte, because she's feuded with everyone apart from Nia Jax, and there's no point putting Nia Jax against Charlotte because they've just had a tiff on Raw where Nia Jax literally cleaned her out. It seems like there's going to be some kind of angle on Raw where Charlotte is going to do what she did on Monday, which was go slightly crazy, and I would imagine she would then request a move from Raw to SmackDown, or alternatively, Kurt Angle loses patience with her and trades her anyway, or gets a trade that he can't refuse, which we'll talk about again very soon. But I think Charlotte needs to go over to SmackDown, A, because she'll be the first ever Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion in history, potentially, unless any of the others can get to that goal first. And as well as that, it would give her an awesome opportunity to become an even bigger star and to become head of the entire brand, where there's not a huge amount of competition at the moment, and would give her an amazing opportunity to have matches against the likes of Alexa Bliss, if Bliss was to turn face, or Charlotte was to turn face, or potentially an incoming Asuka, or there's just lots of different options. Naomi obviously being a big one as well. The next one is one that's come more recently. I think this is going to be a way to fill a big gap on SmackDown Live, and this is Corey Graves from Raw to SmackDown Live. Now, I don't think that this is originally part of the plans, and SW have plans for Ranallo to go across to Raw, but Mauro Ranallo seems to be done with the WWE. Unfortunately, JBL, it seems, has, I mean, these are only rumours at this point, so just take it as you will, seems to have caused a problem with Mauro Ranallo's personal life, which has meant that Ranallo has taken significant time off of WWE, and he's now removed all mentions of WWE in his Twitter bio, which usually means he's done. WWE haven't announced anything publicly, but I imagine they would take this opportunity to give Graves another big job, and this would be to lead the SmackDown Live commentary team. Tom Phillips isn't going to cut it, especially with the likes of David Otunga, JBL, just having that many people on the SmackDown Live team doesn't need to be there, and honestly none of the others can hold a candle to Corey Graves, so moving Corey across as a full-time play-by-play commentator instead of the colour commentator on Raw, I think would be an amazing moment, and one that could potentially mean that we have the next big WWE commentator in our hands, especially with his experience in NXT. He will know a lot of the superstars of SmackDown off by heart. And the biggest one left to last, of course, this is the one that a lot of people are saying isn't going to happen. I'm still believing it's going to happen as part, again, of storyline Roman Reigns to SmackDown. Why? Roman Reigns has just beaten The Undertaker. There's huge rumours going on that WrestleMania 34 is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman even alluded to it in his last speech on Raw, where he said that it just has to happen, the Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, where the winner is the person effectively who is the man, who's the guy who beat The Undertaker, who's the best superstar in the WWE, because they're now setting it up in this situation where the WWE Universal Championship is going to decide whether Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns is the biggest star of WWE and the best overall guy. Because for some reason WWE feel the need to close this feud off, and given that this feud has been, well, by WrestleMania 34, 3 years in the making, given what happened at WrestleMania 31 and the fact that they never had a finish to the match, and Roman and Brock have not had a match since, this is great storyline telling if this was to happen, and I feel that Roman Reigns coming over as part of a big trade deal would be, I feel, best for business, and also a way of keeping Roman Reigns away from Brock Lesnar. Now, I don't see any other way they're going to be able to do that unless they pull forward the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar match way forward, because Roman Reigns could get back over to Raw quite easily. Option 1, he wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and then goes over to Monday Night Raw and cashes it in on Brock Lesnar. Alternatively, he could win the Royal Rumble next year and then use that opportunity on Brock Lesnar going to WrestleMania 34. Good luck everyone who watches Raw. You got a whole year of Brock being the champion. I hope you enjoy it. So those are the choices for Raw to SmackDown. Let's look at the drafts that are going to happen from SmackDown to Raw. First of all, I'm going to talk about tag teams. And this one, a lot of people are probably going to think, are you serious? Yes. I'm going to go with American Alpha. I've said this before, as many other WWE fans have said. American Alpha remind me of Kurt Angle's faction when he was on the early 2000s SmackDown with Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. I feel that you could make an incredible heel stable with the American Alpha with a heel Kurt Angle, or even a face stable. You could just have anything. At the end of the day, the American Alpha could be made into so much bigger and better, and it seems this is the opportunity they've been waiting for, to pull the trigger and send them both over to Monday Night Raw under the stewardship of Kurt Angle, and have them and him align together to potentially make an even more interesting storyline, which could run for months and months, if not years. It could also be a way of elevating Jordan and Gable to single status, where they could then go on to have great WWE careers going ahead of them, especially under the management of one of the greatest WWE superstars and wrestlers of all time. The next one is Mickie James. Now, I don't necessarily feel that there's going to be too many moves from SmackDown to Raw that are going to be that big. I think what you're going to see is very iconic moves that are going to create big stars in the future. And one of those, I think Mickie James is coming over as really a utility. I don't see there being any commentator changes. I can just see Mickie James being one of those people, because she's got nothing really left to do on SmackDown Live. But then I'm going to throw number 3 in there as well as Becky Lynch. I can see Becky Lynch and Mickie James being used as some kind of makeshift to bring Charlotte over to SmackDown Live, which is what I was saying when I was talking about Charlotte from Raw to SmackDown as being an offer that Raw couldn't refuse. Becky Lynch, a former women's champion, Mickie James, a former Divas champion and women's champion, going over for another women's champion. I think that's a fantastic trade myself. Yes, okay, Charlotte is the future, but you get 2 amazing female competitors, and you could even argue that Becky Lynch could be the first person to be the Raw and the SmackDown Women's Champion ever. And that would be an incredible achievement for either Becky Lynch or Charlotte, whoever's the first person to do it. Moving on to number 2, and that is going to be Dean Ambrose. Now, with Dean Ambrose, I don't think the Intercontinental Championship is coming across. What I can see is that Dean Ambrose will have a match against Corbin on Raw or SmackDown, and that'll be for the Intercontinental Championship. And for some reason, I can see Dean Ambrose, maybe potentially Braun Strowman getting involved to start a big feud with Dean Ambrose. I can see it happening with Corbin picking up the Intercontinental Championship and keeping it on SmackDown. Maybe that would then lead to a trade happening for Dean Ambrose for another superstar. Who knows? But I can see Dean Ambrose having an opportunity now to move across. I think, again, he's utilised a lot of individual feuds, having been involved in the WWE Championship at the beginning of his reign on SmackDown Live, moving into the Intercontinental Championship, coming out of the Intercontinental Championship, moving back into the Intercontinental Championship. He's fought against a lot of people, and this would be a way of keeping the Shield apart again. So you'd make sure that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, storyline-wise, going to SmackDown, and Dean Ambrose is not on the other side. It could also give another opportunity for Dean Ambrose to really relish and push himself on Raw. Maybe potentially having that match we all wanted to see against Brock Lesnar as part of the year-long him keeping the Universal Championship feud. And the last one, and this one is a biggie. This is a biggie, because if this happens, I can imagine this man will go straight into the main event, and I'm going to run through a storyline situation for you right now. AJ Styles. AJ Styles obviously not been on great terms with Shane McMahon, and who knows, this could be the whole catalyst behind the move. AJ Styles going from SmackDown to Raw. Now, I see this as being a way of creating a challenger for Brock Lesnar immediately, because if you've been watching SmackDown, you would also know that Daniel Bryan has been promising every single week for AJ Styles to get a WWE Championship match. How are they going to do that when AJ Styles probably could beat Randy Orton for the WWE Championship without there being some kind of outside interference? Easy. Have him traded over to Raw, and then have him go to Kurt Angle. I'm assuming there'd be some kind of number 1 contenders match between AJ Styles and Finn Balor. You've got that as a potential example, maybe a fatal 4-way again. And then you have him versus Brock Lesnar as the first feud. It immediately elevates the WWE Universal Championship amazingly to another level. This match that no one thought they'd ever seen, AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, even potentially have that as an upcoming match. But I see the whole issue between Shane McMahon and AJ Styles. Not just that, but the fact that AJ Styles wants a WWE Championship match potentially being the reason why he requests or gets moved to Raw and immediately goes into a feud with Brock Lesnar, who seemingly at the moment has no opponent. So let me know what you thought of those trades from SmackDown to Raw, or what trades you would have happen instead in the comment section below. And don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel and check out the other content I've had, which are going to pop up just around you. And that's it from me. Thank you all for watching. Remember to check the description below for details to Twitch, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook for all those accounts. Remember to like and follow those. And I'll see you soon. And one last thing, and that is to sleep!